Over 60? 4 daily exercises that rebuild joint strength after 60. Your joints aren't just aging, they are losing signal. Here's how to fix that. One common pattern I see with clients as they get older is joint stiffness, but the stiffness doesn't actually start with arthritis or wear and tear. A lot of times it starts with the joint losing awareness. And when I say awareness, I don't mean flexibility or pliability. I mean how well your brain can feel and control that joint and emphasize its function in relation to the joints around it. A joint isn't just bone on bone. It's a space filled with sensors, fluid, and supporting tissue all constantly talking to your nervous system. When that conversation gets misheard, the body still moves, but forces stop spreading out the way they should. That's when joints begin to feel tight, weak, or unstable, even when nothing is seriously damaged. Your brain runs the show. I explain it to clients this way: a joint is less like a hinge and more like a tension detector. Your brain needs feedback from it every millisecond to decide how much force is safe. That real-time feedback is what helps create and maintain what's known as an OAIR, the optimal axis of instantaneous rotation. It's your ability to keep a joint centered regardless of position and speed of movement. When I reach my arm up, for example, I'm creating an axis through the glenohumeral joint so that regardless of where I rotate, bend, or twist, the humerus stays stacked on top of the scapula. That feedback system is called proprioception, basically your body's self-awareness. When the signal is clear, movement feels smooth and easy. When it gets fuzzy, the body protects the area by tightening around it and forcing other joints to compensate. What most people feel as stiffness, and even pain, is often the nervous system adjusting tension because it doesn't trust the joint anymore. Strength isn't enough. This is why strengthening alone often doesn't fix the problem. If your brain doesn't trust a joint, your body won't be able to fully utilize that joint through its designed range of motion. Other muscles jump in, things compensate, and you end up feeling tight and uncomfortable. Over time, people call that aging. But a lot of the time, it's just a loss of communication. My approach addresses this directly. Instead of starting by pushing strength, I start by restoring the signal. One of the main tools I use for that is ELDOA. It's not just stretching, it's a very specific way of positioning the body so tension is emphasized one joint at a time within fascial chains. When the tissues around a joint are put under tension, they send a signal to the brain about their current position. The brain starts to search for an ideal position, registers it, and adapts accordingly. Once guarding decreases, strength finally starts to help instead of irritate. Physically, this improves space in the joint, helps fluid move through the cartilage and discs, and organizes how the surrounding muscles work together. But the big change is neurological. The brain regains confidence in the area. And once a joint has that clarity, the body naturally spreads the load better. That's why working on one joint often helps decrease pain somewhere else entirely. The body works as a system, not as isolated parts. So, before we get into the exercises, understand the goal. We're not just trying to make joints stronger. We're helping the brain understand them again. Because a joint that the brain trusts becomes stable, and a stable joint can finally become strong. Here are the 4 joints I prioritize first, and how to rebuild their function. 1. T8-T9 ELDA mid-thoracic spine. The T8-T9 junction sits just below the shoulder blades, in the middle of the thoracic spine. The goal of this ELDOA is to create a two-way tension. Everything below T8 pulls down, and everything at T8 and above pulls up. That opposing tension is what decompresses the joint and restores the brain signal to that area. Muscles trained: paraspinal muscles, deep thoracic extensors, postural stabilizers. How to do it? Factor of progression 1. Sit on the floor and grab onto your shins. Walk your feet in closer to increase difficulty, or farther out to make it easier. Find a position where you can maintain a straight gravity line ear, shoulder, and hip all in line. Sit up as tall as possible and maintain that alignment. Look 1 to 2 feet in front of you on the floor. Keep your belly relaxed and breathe. Hold for 1 minute. Factor of progression 2 when you can complete factor 1 easily. Release your arms out in front of you. Spread your fingers, bend your wrists back, lock your elbows, and spiral your arms open. Push your arms forward and tuck your chin slightly, without losing the gravity line. Hold for 1 minute. Factor of progression 3 when you can complete factor 2 easily. Bring your arms up until they're in line with your ears, shoulders, and hips. Spread your fingers, bend your wrists back, and reach as high as possible. Hold for 1 minute. At the end of the minute, gently relax one arm, then the other, then your entire spine. Form tip: your gravity line, ear, shoulder, hip in alignment, should never break, regardless of which progression you're on. 2. L4-L5 ELA lower lumbar spine. The L4-L5 junction sits just below the belly button. At L4, there's a ligament called the iliolumbar ligament that connects the 4th lumbar vertebra to the back of the pelvis, meaning this area has a lot to do with how the pelvis is positioned. Restoring signal here can have a significant effect on low back comfort and pelvic stability. Muscles trained: paraspinal muscles, iliolumbar ligament, deep lumbar stabilizers. How to do it? Factor of progression 1. Place your heels a minimum of glute width apart. Wider creates more tension. Bend your ankles back and press your pinky toes toward the floor. Press your knees toward the floor. Bring your legs in closer to your body to increase tension, or farther out to reduce it. The goal is to feel your paraspinal muscles working to stay vertical. Hold your legs, line up your ear, shoulder, and hip gravity line, and breathe from your belly. Hold for 1 minute. Factor of progression 2 when factor 1 is easy. Bring your arms up, spread your fingers, bend your wrists back, lock your elbows, and spiral open. Push your arms forward, without rounding your spine. Your spinal position does not change. Hold for 1 minute. Factor of progression 3 when factor 2 is easy. Raise your arms parallel to your gravity line, ears, shoulders, hips. Spread your fingers, bend your wrists back, lock your elbows, and rotate your arms open. Maintain ankle and knee pressure toward the floor while reaching as high as possible. Hold for 1 minute. At the end of the minute, gently relax one arm then the other, then everything releases. Form tip: the amount of tension you build is controlled by how far you bring your legs in. More bend equals more challenge to your paraspinals. Start conservatively. 3. S2-S3 ELD upper sacrum. This ELD targets the upper part of the sacrum, the triangular bone at the base of the spine. The approach here is a two-directional tension. The sacrum through L3 anchors into the floor while everything above lifts upward. This helps decompress the sacroiliac area and restore communication between the pelvis and lumbar spine. Muscles trained: deep sacral stabilizers, lumbar extensors, cervical flexors. How to do it? Come down to the floor on your forearms. Walk your elbows back as far as possible, with your middle finger in line with your shoulder. Don't place them too far forward or you'll risk slipping. Walk your feet back to a comfortable position. Press everything from the middle of your sacrum down to your belly button, roughly L3 firmly into the floor. This section stays fixed. Lift your chest toward the ceiling, keeping the sacrum to L3 section grounded. Push your head back and tuck your chin. Swallow and place your tongue at the roof of your mouth. Hold for 1 minute, maintaining the chin tuck, the sacrum anchor, and the upward lift of the chest. Focus on lengthening the neck as much as possible. Imagine that length pulling all the way down into the sacrum. At the end of the minute, gently relax out of the posture. Form tip: the sacrum to L3 section should not lift off the floor at any point. If you feel that section popping up, walk your feet in slightly and reduce the chest lift. 4. C4-C5 ELD mid-cervical spine. The C4-C5 junction sits in the very middle of the neck. This is one of the most commonly compressed areas in people who spend time at a desk or looking at screens, and restoring signal here can affect shoulder mobility, upper back tension, and even jaw discomfort. This ELDO uses progressive loading to create decompression at that cervical junction. Muscles trained: deep cervical flexors, shoulder stabilizers, upper thoracic extensors. How to do it? Factor of progression 1. Lie on your back with your eyes looking down and your chin tucked in. Feel the back of your neck lengthen. That lengthening is the first signal. Hold here and breathe with a relaxed jaw and relaxed belly. Factor of progression 2 when factor 1 is comfortable. Without changing your head or neck position, bring one leg up and then the other. Your knees should come past 90 degrees. Continue breathing with a relaxed jaw and belly. Hold for 1 minute. Factor of progression 3 when factor 2 is easy. Raise both arms, spread your fingers, bend your wrists back, lock your elbows, and spiral your arms open. Imagine balancing a hot cup of coffee directly over the head of the humerus. That balance stays no matter what. Lift your shoulders off the ground and away from your ears without changing the arm position. Keep your eyes down, chin tucked, fingers spread, wrists back. If you have the neck strength, tuck your chin so deeply that your head lifts about a quarter inch off the ground. Hold for 60 seconds. To release, use one hand to lower your head gently, then the other, relax one leg, then the other, let your entire body decompress. Form tip: the coffee cup image is worth keeping in mind throughout. The moment your shoulders shrug toward your ears, the position collapses. Keep them down and away.